You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast. That's AKA Murph.
And that's AP. And this is the podcast where we talk about cycling just for the fun of it. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. Well, hello, AP, and hello, fellow cyclists. Welcome back to another thrilling episode of the Just Go Bike podcast. As you learned about in our intro, I am Murph, and as always, I'm joined by the pedal-powered dynamo, AP. How's it going, AP?
Pedal-powered dynamo. I can get used to that title. I'm actually doing great, Murph. I just rolled in on my two-wheeled gratitude machine.
Ooh, now that's the spirit. Speaking of gratitude, nice segue.
Yeah, thank you.
With Thanksgiving, actually, at the time of this recording, it's around the corner, but I think when we post this episode, people will be getting their turkey dinners ready at the very moment that they're listening to this podcast.
That's right.
So I thought it'd be fitting for us to take a moment and appreciate all of the wonderful things cycling has brought into our lives.
Well, how much time do you have? But seriously, cycling means a lot to me in my life, and who needs a therapist when you have a bike? Am I right or am I wrong?
You are right. You are right. Cycling is like the ultimate therapist on two wheels.
Yeah.
It listens to your problems without interrupting and always gives you a fresh perspective, especially when you're cruising downhill with the wind in your face.
And let's not forget the incredible friends we've made along the way. Like
you?
Like you.
And me?
And shout out to all the friends we've made along the way. Besides each other, those who've encouraged us as we go through steep hills are those like Jen Wyatt, who have encouraged us when we are riding 4 miles an hour into a headwind. And all those who've laughed at my horrible jokes along the way.
Yeah, I would say I'm one of those people that have laughed at your horrible jokes.
Thanks.
Speaking of horrible jokes, why did the bicycle fall over during Thanksgiving dinner?
I don't know why.
It was too tired after all that feasting. Anyway, okay, sorry. But cycling friends are the family you choose, and sometimes they're the ones you choose to wait for at the top of the hill instead of them leaving you in the dust.
People wait for me up at the top of the hill all the time, and I say thank you. Here I say thank you because I am one of the slower cyclists in the bunch, and I just really appreciate that people will wait for you, especially in the RAGBRAI mentality. The people who ride RAGBRAI are just like that.
Yeah.
However, I've always thought it was kind of unfair that I'm the slow one, and I make it up to the top of the hill last, and everybody waits for me, and they get a nice break while I'm like huffing and puffing up the hill. And then once I finally get up there, they all take off, and then I don't get a break. So, look, I guess I'm thankful for it though. But I really appreciate the group spirit, and I don't need a freaking break anyway.
That's right.
And you all know that I do. Part of the reason why I do this is for the snacks. I mean, I think partially why I do this, maybe more than partially, but I would never admit that for real, the post-ride snacks.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing says I crushed that ride like really good snacks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, if you had to pick a snack, what would you pick?
Oh, well, in our pre-preparation of this banter, you said bag of chips and a milkshake, and now all I can think about is a chocolate milkshake. You really can't. I think that sounds perfect.
I would say chocolate milk rather than a milkshake for me, because I could drink a gallon of chocolate milk a day, I think. I mean, I don't. I promise you I do not. It's a reward for me after, really strenuous workouts. I absolutely love chocolate milk.
I'm going to fact check you on that. I'm coming over and looking in your fridge. See how much chocolate milk's in there.
I promise you I do not have chocolate milk in my fridge right now.
All right. So I have a joke for you since you told one already.
Okay, let's hear it.
How did the bicycle wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving?
I don't know. Go ahead.
I really hope your day is filled with thanks and giving. That was even worse. So bad.
extremely, extremely clever. Yeah.
Yeah, this falls under the thank you for laughing at my awful jokes category.
Well, we thought we would take not too much of everyone's time, but just like just share a few things that we are thankful for, whether it's RAGBRAI Nation or amongst ourselves or in the community. So we're just going to go through a few of them, right?
Yep. So I guess my first one is sort of the opposite of what my least favorite thing while I bike is. People say hills, blah, blah, heat, blah, blah. That stuff doesn't bother me that much. It's the freaking headwinds that will really get into my mind. They'll really wear me down. So I want to say that I'm thankful for tailwinds. And when you just get that perfect little boost, or even a crosswind, when you get that nice little boost as you're riding along. And, I think we've all had that feeling where we're like, wow, I'm much more in shape than I thought I was. And then it turns out to be a tailwind. I love that feeling.
Yes, that happens. Like the main bike trail in my community is a north-south trail. And I typically try to pick to go either north or south based on the wind. So I'm, fighting it on the way. And then on the way back, I have a sweet tailwind. But sometimes it catches up on you where you're like, I am amazing today.
Yeah.
I can't believe how fast I am. And then you turn around and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
But I would add to your tailwinds smooth roads. And I'm saying that because I was just on a ride the other day through my community here in Cedar Rapids, and there was a freshly paved road. They hadn't even put down the paint, with the lines on it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is luxury to have zero potholes, zero anything on the road. It was like, I'm very thankful for fresh roads.
Yeah. And I know, at least on the pre-ride, when we ride the pre-ride for RAGBRAI, you'll get these roads where every 10 feet there's a crack and they've tried to fill it. And probably for a car, they have filled it sufficiently. But for a bike, you just go kabump, kabump,
Bump,
kabump.
bump. Yep.
And it really gets to you. And then once you hit that smooth road, it's like riding on butter. It's just amazing. So, definitely thankful for that.
Okay, something else to be thankful for in the biking world is innovation. And I think of, if I look at my fleet of bikes, what used to be my favorite bike is kind of almost obsolete when you look at like the components on it. And like one of my bike brands is called Gunner. And it was my favorite bike for many, many years. And it's in the other room right now. So it can't hear me saying that it's no longer my favorite. But it doesn't have like disc brakes because disc brakes weren't around at that point. And I'm not saying, you have to have disc brakes to have a spectacular bike. But when I look at my fleet, I usually don't pick it anymore. And I'm kind of sad about it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say my steel bike is still my steel Tom Teasdale bike is still my number one favorite bike of all time. And that bike isn't even here to hear me say that. But I did get a new carbon fiber bike this year after saving up for a long time. I got this new bike and I'm so much faster on it. And I'm, like I said, I am kind of a slow rider. So now I can keep up with the pack. I can ride at the same speed as everyone else. And it's just been really gratifying, really awesome. You still get to ride the same miles and you still get to enjoy the same experience. And it rides a little differently, but I'm super grateful for it and the steel bike, both. So, yeah.
So we have to at least mention, since we're on this category of innovation, we have to mention the electric bike.
E-bikes?
Right?
I mean,
yeah, I know. Neither one of us have one, but think of how many lives the e-bike has changed as far as people able to ride that maybe couldn't ride a regular bike, or a non-electric bike, or now spouses can ride together because one has a different ability than the other. Or just, going to get groceries, or there's like so many ways, in my opinion, that the e-bike has made lives better.
Yeah, that's true. And we didn't even mention adaptive riders who are able to ride bikes at all because of e-bikes.
Yeah, right.
Or like, I know I've mentioned this on the podcast before, multiple generations of cyclists are able to do RAGBRAI together because someone is enabled with an e-bike, whether it be a senior or a parent trying to pull a child along and is able to deal with the hills with the e-bike. So, yeah, they're definitely something to be thankful for in the broader scheme of things, although neither of us, like you said, have an e-bike. So
Right. And if this was a like a coming up on Christmas episode, maybe we both could say that we want e-bikes if there's someone out there who
I need one for commuting.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Okay, so I think the next thing on my gratitude list is got to be, and this probably should have been number one, but community bike shops.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously I want to give a shout out to Brent at Bike Tech, even though he doesn't wave when I drive by him. That's fine, Brent. You don't have to, but he's really awesome. And I know he helps us out a lot, both on RAGBRAI and otherwise.
I was going to say, when we did the pre-ride, I made the unfortunate mistake of riding through peanut butter like mud and broke my bike the day before we were leaving for pre-ride. And Brent saved me that week. So, and I bought my fat bike from Brent at Bike Tech. So yeah, a huge shout out to Brent. And there's so many other, any community bike shop, like I mentioned in the previous episode, I did Cranksgiving for Thanksgiving, and Goldfinch Cyclery here in Cedar Rapids sponsors that. So there's just two, but there's so many community bike shops.
Yeah, many, many more. And if you don't already know who your community bike shop is, what's your problem? No, just kidding. Look them up and just stop by and see what they might have to offer. I know I love to go to Bike World. Now they're a bigger bike shop, but I love going into Bike World and just sort of like smelling the smell of the inner tubes and seeing what kind of new bike bags they might have, and just getting to know other people in the bike community that I maybe have only ever seen their name on a Facebook comment, or maybe I just passed them biking on the trails and I would never get a chance to interact with them in real life unless I was in that bike shop, or maybe stopped along the trail. But it's just another way to kind of get to know your bike community and be a part of them, and maybe pick up some cool bike gear all at the same time.
And it's also a good place if you are looking at either joining a club or going on a weekly ride. A lot of local bike shops either host them weekly rides, or they can get you in touch with somebody. So it's a good resource too.
Yeah. One of the many questions we get on RAGBRAI is, I'm a newbie. How do I join a team? Well, stopping by a local bike shop is a great way to get connected to some of these riding groups or charters or larger teams that you could join and start to get to know people in the community.
Okay, next thing that we want to talk about that we're thankful for, and it's kind of a plug back to RAGBRAI because it's a big, big time of year, and that's cycling apparel.
Who isn't thankful for a comfortable pair of bike shorts? Am I right or am I wrong?
Nope, you are right. And having an Irish-themed plaid pair of cycling shorts is super, super cool.
That's right. We just released the 2024 RAGBRAI cycling collection. One of the cool things that we released this year is the women's shorts come in a short and a long length. So we have shorts for everyone this year. And men's shorts too. We always have those. But I love a good cycling kit. I love having a different cycling kit for every day of RAGBRAI. Yep. Could you imagine riding RAGBRAI back in the day where they didn't really have spandex and lycra, and chamois was like literally a piece of leather or like skin. I think it was like calf skin.
Wow. Yeah.
But it wasn't a fuzzy thing that like you could wash.
Wow. Well, we have to definitely give a shout out to Primal Wear because I think they're your official jersey company, right?
Oh, they sure are, both personally and professionally.
Yes, and I was going to say also for the Murphology podcast, they are the official jersey company for all of my gear too.
Well, yeah. I mean, for RAGBRAI, for Ride the Rockies, for Tour of the Batten Kill, for the Great Iowa Fall Ride, for the Just Go Bike podcast, and like I said, for Andrea Parrot Talk Parrot.
Awesome.
Love Primal Wear. Those guys are freaking awesome. If you haven't thought about getting custom jerseys for yourself or for your team, I mean, maybe look into it because they make the best custom jerseys around. And believe me, I shopped around when I first started this job at RAGBRAI. My job was to decide, should we stay with Primal or not? And here a decade later, we have stayed with Primal. So Yeah, that was kind of a plug, wasn't it? But I really mean it. And I really am thankful for cycling clothing. I mean, think about, I used to ride my bike in a t-shirt where I didn't even have a pocket in the back. I mean, I didn't have a cell phone at that time, but what would I have done? What would I have done? So,
Well, you're talking to the wrong person because I usually ride my bike with 4 panniers plus more and more bags. So I sometimes I don't even know where my phone is because it's in one of the bags and I've misplaced which bag it's in.
I know where your phone is. It's usually on the charger on the
You're
handlebars.
right. Actually, you're right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Right.
So just a few more things. Bike paths, scenic routes. I mean, I am like, just thankful that I get to do the bike tours that I get to do, and riding across Iowa in July is like one of the highlights of my year.
I mean, you're the queen of taking all different really cool scenic bike paths throughout the year. I mean, you and I together have been on some really cool ones in Colorado during Ride the Rockies. What would you say your favorite bike path is that you've been on this year?
This year, I would probably say the Mickelson Trail up in South Dakota. It was just so beautiful. The terrain changed like almost hourly. We went through the woods, we went through fields, we went through, beautiful Black Hills. We saw the cutest little ghost towns. It was just beautiful. And you could see
that's amazing.
Crazy Horse Monument while we were on that trail. So it was really cool.
I haven't done anything crazy like that this year, but I hope to next year. And, really any bike path is a good opportunity to just sort of like slow down. Not physically, you can keep biking as fast as you want, but like slow your brain down and look around at the scenery and admire just the ability to be out in nature and just enjoy getting out of the office for a little while. So yeah, definitely thankful for that. Definitely thankful for the mental reset that it provides.
I agree. And I think that also segues into all the different communities that are making it important for bike traffic to exist, whether it's alongside vehicle traffic or dedicated bike lanes. Like we have to give thanks to city planners and just people who are really focused on that.
Yeah, people like Luke Hoffman from the Iowa Bicycle Coalition, and Mark Wyatt, who was his predecessor, to making bicycling more accessible throughout Iowa. I just saw an article on Facebook about how the bike buses are really popular now with kids, where they like get a group of kids together to bike to school on predetermined routes. And I think that is so awesome. And I totally would have done that as a kid when I was in elementary school. I wish they had it at that time.
Awesome.
So, and then I think just so that we don't take too much time, because I could go on all day about the things that I'm thankful for with cycling, the motivation and encouragement of our friends and family members and just the community that's developed around cycling. Just so thankful for that.
I think that, I'm assuming RAGBRAI has a ton to do with it, but the cycling culture in the state of Iowa is just like really intense in a good way. Like when you go to Des Moines, there are unending trails and groups to meet up with, and people who ride during the day, people who ride at night. And I would say the same about where I live in Cedar Rapids. It might not be that way in every town in Iowa, but just knowing that a lot of us come together, motivate each other, and the underlining commonality is the bicycle.
Yeah, and just, I don't know if I've ever had a flat tire and someone rode by and they didn't say, do you have all the tools you need? Are you doing okay? And usually I carry everything I need, but I appreciate people asking, and that doesn't happen everywhere. You go to other I know I've said this time and time again on the podcast, but I go to other states and they're like, wow, cycling in Iowa is different. It's just different. People, there's such a strong community, such a strong, supportive community where people really help each other out. They really give each other a hard time sometimes, but not seriously. And they really support each other and enable each other to be the best cyclists they can be, whatever their goals may be.
Yeah. And I think we have to tell all of our listeners how much we appreciate you guys for tuning in every week, because how motivating is it to know that, here's AP and I talking to ourselves, but there are thousands of people that listen and actually care about what we have to say and about biking in general.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for you all. Right now, I am alone in a broom closet, aka Parrot Talk Studios, and I'm just sort of talking to Murph on the phone about cycling. But then, and it's hard to see the impact at this point, but when we go out to the events and we meet you face to face, and it's so awesome, and I just appreciate you all so much, and I hope that what we're doing is something that will be useful to you, and that it's interesting to you and engaging to you, because it sure is fun for us. And shout out to that fan at the expo who gave me the firefighter patches, because he knows I love fire stations. Yeah. I mean, it's just been so incredible to meet you all this year and make friends along the way, and just kind of, just be a community with the podcast. And it all just starts right here from, like I said, the broom closet here at the RAGBRAI headquarters.
For a second there, I thought you were going to start crying with your gratitude, but then the broom closet comment came. So I know that you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, look, I'm thinking about it later. I probably will cry, but we don't need to talk about that. I also like to say thank you to the Ventures cycling team, Ventures Endurance cycling team that I'm a part of, that you're a part of. They work so hard to help put on these rides for you. They work so hard to support me as a team member. So I just want to give them a little shout out. They're the coolest coworkers, the most awesome coworkers that you could hope to have. So
sweet.
Shout out, y'all. To refocus, let's get ready for Thanksgiving. Let's slice that pie. Let's chop into those mashed potatoes. That doesn't make sense. Let's scoop up those mashed potatoes. For those of us who eat turkey, let's carve into that turkey. Let's gear up for Thanksgiving. I'd like to raise a toast or a water bottle to our bikes, our cycling friends, and the endless adventures that await us on the open road.
Woohoo! I have my water bottle up right now. Cheers to that. And remember, the only thing better than a turkey trot, which I believe both you and I did this morning.
That's right.
But the only thing better than the turkey trot is a turkey bike ride. Huh? Right? Am I right?
You are right.
So, everyone stay thankful.
And just go bike. Until next time, happy trails and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Well, listeners, that is it for this week. We both want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast.
And if you'd like to contact us with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com, or you can also follow us on social media at Just Go Bike on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. And if you have any extra time, pop on over to the Murphology podcast for more bike adventure interviews.
All right, that's a wrap. We'll be back next week. Until then, just go bike!